thank you for being here. Again, we cover this every day. There's so much explosive evidence. It's emotional every day, but big picture, do you think the prosecution's getting the job done?
I think every day we see a little bit more, Brian, of what is going to ultimately be the real conspiracy here and the murder plot. And, you've identified some of the most concrete evidence that we have and that we've seen thus far. But I also want to add one thing that I continue to believe is critical in this case. And that is the fact that the prosecution is charging a conspiracy to commit murder and to commit grand theft by deceptive means. And that brings in the financial piece, which is these Social Security checks. And I think the most compelling evidence here that this was a plot that Lori was involved in is the fact that she changed the deposit information for the Social Security checks, particularly for Tylee, prior to Tylee's death. I think nothing sort of comes close to establishing that she knew and anticipated these deaths before they happened, and therefore that she was involved somehow.
That is a very, very good point. Something that I've noticed, though, is Lori's brother, Alex Cox, comes up a lot. Chad has come up a lot. Do you think the prosecution is doing enough to really point the finger at Lori? Because obviously this trial right now is about Lori. Or do you think the jury might think things are a little murky because Alex and Chad keep coming up so much?
Well, that's a real concern. And, we know from the defense's opening statement that that is something they intend to make a central point of the defense, right? That this is about Lori and her involvement, not about Chad and not about Alex. But, we heard some key testimony today from Summer Shiflet, who kind of explained that Alex, because of the accident he suffered when he was 16, had some mental difficulties and was really kind of stuck in a teenage kind of subservient role. And I think that combined with some of the testimony we heard earlier in the trial, that Alex was there for Lori, that he did everything for her and that he was deemed to be her protector, is what's really going to kind of bring anything that Alex did back onto Lori.
You brought up the money, the Social Security. I've thought about this. They're also talking about religious beliefs. Do you think they need to focus in on one motive for the jury to really sink their teeth into? Could it be confusing that we hear money, Social Security, but then we also hear all about this cult religion, which is like a world of its own that you have to wrap your mind around?
I think it can be confusing, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think the prosecutors have really centered in on the money, sex, power angle, and they really can't ignore religion because ultimately they have a burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And one of the things that can just tank a prosecution's case is if the defense can basically call what they're doing into question and attack their credibility. And I think that if the prosecution didn't bring this religious stuff out in front, get in front of it, show the jury that they're not hiding that this was happening, the defense would just need to get up and throw that kind of against the wall and say, this was all about something else. There were a bunch of other things going on. So I think the prosecution really had no choice but to get out in front of it.
Any idea what you think the defense strategy is going to be here? Do you think that they're tweaking it based on what the prosecution has been doing for the last couple of weeks?
I assume they are. I think the opening statement was vague enough that they have not yet committed to a single theory of what happened, and they may in fact not commit. They're going to put on a reasonable doubt defense. But I think part of the goal that they have here is waiting to see how the evidence comes in before they attempt to commit to one alternate theory or one alternate set of events. They're going to kind of wait and see how things shake out and then decide where to go from there.
And there's still so much more to go with this, which is sort of unbelievable because it feels like we've been living this every day for the last couple of weeks, but it's not nearly over. Judge Rachel Juarez, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.